Om Shanti, and a warm good morning from Inner Space in Romford in Essex, England. Brother Andrew speaking on the subject of the love, true love, has no breaking point. So obviously at this particular period of time of this cycle that we're in, cycle of time, can't get away from cycles, and we're in a time of the cycle which is a very sensitive time. Most people want peace. They don't think too much about love. That's normally when everything's going well. They normally think about peace and attaining inner peace. And of course that can only come from going inside towards your true self, your inner self, the self as the soul, the identity, which is letting go of body consciousness, letting go of the mind, letting go of a meta-conscious state. So you're using your mind to let go of the feelings of the physical and trying to reconnect with the feelings of being the eternal soul that dwells in the body. Automatically you'll have peace, and then we'll be able to move on to the subject of love, because love heals everything. So we don't just need the peace that actually stops all the problems affecting us from the world outside. We want to actually have a love which is unbreakable and unshakable, so that we can actually heal the negative emotions that are within the human consciousness. And I think this has always been my driving force since I was a child, really, whereby I always thought that everyone else had love, even though I was from a very loving family, always a sort of family that sat at the breakfast table and sorted out any kind of complications and conflicts in the family life. We were always talkers to each other, so we'd always have this communication whereby a trouble shared is a trouble halved, or a trouble aired is a trouble halved. And there was this natural feel-good factor or security coming from that, but it didn't actually make me secure as love, true love, does, because it's the humanistic version of love, in which is tied into this world of give and take, whereby I give you love if you give me love. I won't give you love if you don't give me love. And I'll always be attracted, or people will always be attracted towards getting love from wherever they go. And if there's no love there, there's no goodwill and good wishes, best wishes there, like we say on all the birthday cards. And Christmas time is best wishes at this, the best of time of the year. The Diwali is all about everyone being at their best, giving of their best, giving the best. Best wishes, highest wishes towards others without conditions, where people put all their expectations and demands down for a period of time, and they reconnect really not to their true selves but to the day, which is the time of the festival, whether it be Janmashtami, whether it be Christmas, whether it be Sunday, the Sabbath, going to church, whether it be going on pilgrimages and to temples. It's all to do with trying to be at our best and giving at our best and getting the best, feeling inside, and that feeling is already inside, but we choose an outside trigger or an outside catalyst for it. So it's why humanistic love has a breaking point in which the tolerance can only go so far. And when I say intolerance, it doesn't mean to say a person's angry, but I mean they feel intolerant inside. And so this true love repairs all the intolerance inside, the impatience inside, the lack of humility, because of course a person will be thinking that they're being patient when in actual fact they feel impatient inside. So the only difference really is they're not speaking and acting in an impatient way. They're keeping their cool, they're remaining patient externally, but they're not remaining patient and tolerant internally. So you've got the veritable swan paddling like crazy, but he looks very serene on the surface. And eventually the paddling inside, the hard work and the effort to tolerate others will burst, will come out. So true love does heal, but in actual fact people don't know what it is, and indeed I didn't know what it was until I became a Brahma Kumar or a Raj yogi, where I actually started to question my own ability to love and the extent that it will go before it breaks down, and realising that it's not a reliable source of love. My love is not a reliable source of love because it has a breaking point, and true love heals. And it reminds me, there was an album made by a group the album was called Crime of the Century, and on that album there was this particular song where it said, "Rip off the masks of lust, greed and glory, rip off the masks and let's see. But oh no, what's the story? That's you and that's me." So they realised that their own masks that they were hiding behind of lust, greed and glory. And in actual fact, all lust, greed and glory is really a searching for deep, unending, unbreakable, unshakable love. And so when we talk about a higher love, we're obviously talking about a love that human beings don't have. And out of 7 billion souls, not one of those souls who don't know what true love is will have that love. Otherwise God wouldn't come into the equation, because we say God is love, God is truth. So therefore, when we're actually learning about that love, then the old way of loving starts to fall away. One's a very contaminated form of love, whereas God's supreme love is an unconditional love that has no expectations, desires or demands. And someone can automatically say, well, everyone's like this, whereby they have this. But the point is that I shouldn't accept that, shouldn't settle for that just because everyone is. So also there was religions came about because of, there was more insecurity in the human consciousness, and someone needed to worship something, and they were basically worshipping something that they loved, because at that moment in time you can feel the presence of your own love emerging when you worship something. So it's like an adoration, and you adore something and you love something, of you love your religion, then of course you're actually processing your own love, even though you feel it's your religion, but the religion is the catalyst, the trigger for your own true love. and love has been carried into a business state of give and take, whereby if they are treating me kind, if I'm getting benefit from somewhere, I'll love them. But if I'm not getting benefit from them, then my affections will be taken elsewhere. And that's an affection that's infected basically by a humanistic give and take of love. It's very businesslike, it's very coarse, it's very gross. True love can never die, it can hide away and give out the signals that it's still there, but I wouldn't be able to read those signals because of my external way of seeing love. So even when people love God, is that unless you can understand how God loves, the purity and the divinity, the way God loves, you can't really experience that love from the source of love. And this has always been a problem, is man's definition of what God is. Unbeknown to himself, he made a very poor definition of what God's like. And God doesn't like, nor does he dislike. God is love. And so when we talk about even being a child of God, that's okay, that's good. You can feel the security, you can feel the sense of belonging, the sense of safety and security of being a child of God. But unless they understand that that love is, that they are honoured, there's a great deal of dignity being honoured by a love like God has for the human soul and all human souls, leaving out not one single soul on the earth. God loves all because God is love. So this is the difference, is that with human beings, when you love someone, then because there's that focal point on the love for that person, there will also be a relationship of love from that person. And it happened in the early days when the Supreme Soul started to use this one as his physical medium, his voice box. People saw the love that was coming from this one. It wasn't really coming from this one, it was coming from this one, but through this one. But it's like anything, because it's coming through a particular medium, people see what it's coming through rather than where it's coming from. And so what happened is people started to love him. And of course, once you start to love a human being, you want to protect them, you want to defend them, and you feel offended if they get offended. And he did get many offensive remarks thrown at him. Many people were out to get him because he was teaching a non-Hinduistic way of loving, which is not love for all the different gods that you worship, but love for the true self and love from the one that's the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, the one that's the Father of all souls. Although people talk about the messengers, they are only messengers of love, bringing an understanding, their understanding of what love is. Just like this is my understanding of what love is and what love can only be. But it's only my definition according to the studying that I'm doing of the words that came through this one's mouth from 1937 to the present day, or we say the present day, but they're being revised now because all that finished in 1969 when this soul left the body. And it's interesting that the love that he understood of that one was much deeper than I've understood it up till now, because there was a little story about when this one was helping some workers in India to dig a foundation for a spiritual complex to go up. The Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University was digging they were digging the foundations and the roads. And it was such a hot summer's day that they were all just wearing like these nappies, which we remember seeing Gandhi very much in, where he just wore this loincloth. And he was wearing those with the workers that he was working with. Very hot summer's day, worked for 4 or 5 hours digging up the foundations with a pickaxe, digging the roads. And this brother, who was about 20, 30 years younger than this one, walked up Abu Road, and it was such a hot day that he was sweating, and this one stopped what he was doing and put down his shovel or pickaxe and went to get him some water and said to him, "Sit down, it's quite a long walk." And he was considering that person before himself, even though he was doing all the work. He was of a senior age. The point I'm making really is the kind of humility that love carries, and the humility doesn't allow love to have a breaking point. So people's tolerance runs out and their patience runs out because of the lack of humility. The lack of humility in that love is repaired by understanding what God's love is to you as a child of God that's being honoured with that love, respected, and you're getting all your dignity back from experiencing the love that He has for the children, and also showing the same love to others. So there's no breaking point, because all other love has a breaking point. If you try to love everyone, you would be making the effort, and you would look for the fruit of the effort, the result of the effort. If you're making the effort to love one, not this one, but this one, and understand how God loves, the honour, the dignity, the respect, the regard, the power that's in that love, and you're being loved by that one, then you're learning how to love others in the same way. No other way. Although I say everyone has their own way, this isn't really my way. It's a love that has oceans of humility inside of it, and that humility doesn't expect anything, so it just gives happiness to everyone. So when you look at the subject of giving happiness to everyone, if you're making an effort to make others happy, then you'll also look for the result of that, even though so many people in religious scriptures say act without the desire of the reward. But these are all words. There's no power without the power of God's love, and understanding as a child of God what that love really is. Not the love that humans have defined it as, but the love as it is. So there's been a lack of recognition of God's love. That's why they say He gives happiness and sorrow, and His love that He has for the children doesn't permit Him to show any kind of sadness and sorrow to His children. He doesn't shape your future. He hasn't come to test you. All He's doing is coming at this particular period of sensitivity of the cycle the end of the cycle, beginning of a new one, because we lost the ability to love the way he loves. We once did it, but now it's inert. It's no longer functioning. So when you remember God, turn your mind towards God, the ocean of love, there should also be the understanding of how much it is to feel honoured and respected and regarded with that love. It's like the bonus pool that I'm getting love like no other is getting and no other can give. And it's quite heart-wrenching. It's almost like you're having a new heart, because the heart that we've got at the present time, not this physical heart, but this heart here, is filled with ego and attachment, and they create the breaking point. If you love someone, then you can't love everyone. If you love one, you can love everyone. So we do some meditation, but we're talking about really a love that has or is the embodiment of tolerance, the embodiment of patience, the embodiment of adjusting to others, the embodiment of becoming cooperative to others, the embodiment of not opposing anyone, not making them feel small, not playing mind games with them. If they don't treat me like this, I'm not going to be treat them like that. We're talking about not worrying about treatment of the self or to others, because that love will be a treatment for others. It will be a treat to the self, and the treatment of others will be a treat. So you won't need to retreat. So take the mind away from human beings and the false love of this world, the promises that become empty promises, the loyalty that will make its way towards disloyalty, all the opposites of all the positives and negatives of the humanistic way of living are removed by turning my mind upwards towards the source point of love, becoming aware that this is my spiritual Father and I am his spiritual child. At the same time, let go of the feelings of the body and become light. Let go of the feelings of the body and become love, a child of love, immersed in the ocean of love, understanding the wonderful transformation that will take place in my life with this love. It can be used to uplift and restore even the ones that I used to dislike are now receiving that love. Don't think of repairing the relationship between myself and others. whoever they may be. Just feel the love of the Father to the child. The Father is the ocean of love, and the child is taking its right to that love. No more inferiorities, no more insecurities. I am at the end of the end. It is the end of superficial love and the beginning of the purest love from the purest Father to the purest, divinest child. I am love because I am a child of love. Om Shanti.